The west ridge of Mount Everest doesn't just test climbers, it swallows them. While most people aiming for the summit take the southeast ridge, the same path Tenzing and Hillary made famous, the west ridge is a whole different beast. Fewer have stood on the summit from that side than have walked on the moon. In September 1974, a bold French team decided they were going to conquer it. They were experienced, determined, and completely unaware that Everest was about to remind them who was really in charge. As monsoon rains battered the mountain, their camp stretched across the ridge like a fragile web. Then came the avalanche. By morning, 6 lives had vanished without a trace. No bodies, no gear, just silence and snow. What drove them to risk it? And why does this route still haunt mountaineers to this day? To understand why the West Ridge is so feared, you first need to know how most people climb Everest. The traditional route, the Southeast Ridge, starts in Nepal. It's tough, make no mistake, but it's also well known. Dozens of expeditions use it every year. It has fixed ropes, ladders, Sherpa support, and a well-worn trail to the summit. It's deadly, yes, but it's mapped. Now, the West Ridge, that's where the map gets fuzzy. It's remote, exposed, and brutally steep. Climbers face vertical rock walls, hidden crevasses, and narrow knife-edge ridges with 1,000-foot drops on both sides. The weather hits harder, the winds scream louder. And if something goes wrong up there, help is not coming. There's no easy way to retreat, and no room for mistakes. Only a handful of climbers have ever stood on the summit via the West Ridge. Fewer still have made it back down alive. This route isn't just about danger, it's about reputation. It's Everest at its most unforgiving. Taking the West Ridge means you're chasing something more than the summit. You're chasing legacy, or maybe just trying to outrun your own fear. And in 1974, that's exactly what Gérard Devoisseau and his French team were after. Gérard Devoisseau wasn't your average climber. He was a mountain man in every sense, tough, quiet, and respected in the climbing world. At just 32, he had already made a name for himself in the Alps and had a growing reputation for taking on bold, ambitious climbs. In the summer of 1974, he led a French team with one goal: to conquer the West Ridge of Everest, a route few had dared to attempt, and even fewer had survived. Their mission was pure mountaineering. No oxygen, no shortcuts, just skill and grit. The team arrived in late August, a risky time to start any climb in the Himalayas. That region gets hammered by monsoon rains during that season. Most climbers wait for better weather windows, but Devoisseau and his crew weren't most climbers. They were strong, confident, and a little defiant. The team set up base camp and began working their way up, establishing 3 camps along the treacherous ridge. They knew the odds, they knew the dangers, but they believed their preparation, experience, and teamwork would see them through. They were wrong, because on Everest, confidence isn't protection, and ambition can get you killed. Right from the start, the mountain made itself clear. It wasn't in the mood for visitors. By the time the French team arrived at base camp in late August, the skies were already heavy with rain. This was monsoon season, and Everest was getting drenched. Most climbers avoid this time of year for a reason. The trails turn to mud, the snow turns unstable, and visibility drops to almost nothing. But Devoisseau and his team pressed on. They set up 3 camps along the ridge, each one perched in exposed, dangerous spots. The higher they went, the more the mountain pushed back. Winds howled through the night. Snow fell so hard it buried tents. Ice came loose from above, cracking down the slopes like gunshots. Morale started to dip. Everything took longer: hauling gear, setting lines, even boiling water. The team was exhausted, soaked, and constantly on edge. Communication between camps grew harder as the weather got worse. They were stretched thin, physically and mentally. But no one wanted to quit. They had come too far. They were climbers, and climbers are stubborn. Then came the worst part. The snowpack on the ridge was growing unstable. Layers of wet snow piled over hidden slabs of ice. It was a recipe for disaster. But up there, on Everest's wildest face, turning back isn't just hard. It feels like failure. So they stayed. and the mountain waited. September 9th started like any other day on the West Ridge, cold, gray, and tense. The team was spread across multiple camps, all clinging to the mountain in the worst weather they'd faced yet. Visibility was awful, the wind never stopped, and the snow. It just kept falling. At one of the higher camps, 5 Sherpas and Gérard Devoisseau huddled inside their tents, trying to stay dry, trying to rest. They had pushed hard the day before. Everyone was tired. Everyone was hoping for a break in the weather, but above them, the mountain had been quietly shifting. Snow, soaked by days of monsoon rain, was sitting dangerously loose on steep terrain. It didn't need a trigger, it just needed time. And then, without warning, it came. A wall of snow, ice, and rock tore down the slope like a freight train. It slammed into the camp with terrifying force. Tents were ripped apart. The roar drowned out everything. In seconds, it was over. Just silence. Down below, those in the lower camps radioed up. No answer. Climbers scrambled uphill in the storm, digging through snow, shouting names, hoping someone, anyone, had survived. But there was nothing. No movement, no voices, no gear poking out. Just smooth snow where a camp had been. They searched for hours, some even longer. But it was hopeless. The avalanche hadn't just buried them, it had erased them. Devoisseau. 5 Sherpas. Gone. No bodies were ever found, no final words. Just 6 people swallowed by Everest in one silent blow. And for the survivors left behind, the climb was over. Not because they couldn't go on, but because something far bigger had told them to stop. In the days after the avalanche, the mountain was quiet. The remaining team members kept digging, desperate to find anything. A glove, a boot, a scrap of tent fabric. But there was nothing. The snow had hardened, sealing everything beneath it. Hours turned into days. The winds howled on, as if daring them to keep trying. Devoisseau was gone. So were the 5 Sherpas. No last radio calls, no final shouts, just silence. And that silence haunted them. This wasn't just a loss, it was a mystery. How could 6 people vanish without a trace? No equipment, no bodies, not even a dent in the snow to mark where they'd been. Eventually, they had to accept what the mountain had already decided. The climb was over. Not just for safety, but out of respect. Something sacred had been broken. To keep going felt wrong. The team descended, heavy with grief. Back home in France, the news barely made waves. A few articles, some quiet funerals, but no fanfare. And maybe that's how Devoisseau would have wanted it. No spotlight, just remembered by those who mattered. Still, among mountaineers, the story stuck. Not because of what they found, but because of what they didn't. Because on Everest's West Ridge, the real terror isn't falling, it's disappearing. The West Ridge hasn't changed much since 1974. It's still wild, still unpredictable, and still one of the most dangerous routes on Earth. Fewer than a handful of climbers attempt it in any given decade. And of those who do, most turn back. The ones who make it to the top, legends. The story of the French expedition became a quiet warning in climbing circles. It wasn't sensationalized. It didn't need to be. The facts were enough. 6 experienced climbers vanished, and Everest never gave them back. Even today, with better gear, more knowledge, and satellite communications, the West Ridge holds its fear factor, because no technology can change what that route is. It's raw, remote, and ruthless. Climbing Everest is never safe, but climbing it that way, that's something else entirely. The West Ridge doesn't offer fame, it offers a test, and it doesn't always let you go home. Would you take this route? Share your thoughts in the comments.